Breaking. The US is on the verge of an energy crisis because Canada just pulled the plug. This isn't speculation. This is happening right now. In a shocking, unprecedented decision, Canada is threatening to cut off one of America's most critical energy lifelines, electricity exports. Let me be clear. This isn't just another political stunt. This could cripple America overnight. And the clock is ticking. Within days, millions of Americans could be plunged into chaos. If Canada follows through, states like New York, Michigan, and Minnesota, which depend on Canada for up to 95% of their electricity imports, could experience mass blackouts, soaring energy bills, and an economic meltdown unlike anything we've seen before. And it gets worse, because this isn't just about power. Canada is now considering something even more devastating: shutting down oil exports, which could send gas prices past $10 per gallon, disrupt global trade, and trigger an economic nightmare that no one is prepared for. This is more than just an energy dispute. It's a direct attack on the US economy. The question is, why is Canada doing this, and how bad could this actually get? And here's the part no one is talking about. Because what Canada just did could trigger something even more terrifying than just blackouts. Breaking emergency. The US power grid is on the verge of collapse. Millions could be plunged into darkness as energy chaos erupts, sending shockwaves through the economy. What was once a reliable partnership is now turning into a battleground. But what happens when that connection is suddenly severed? Right now, Canadian officials are considering a drastic move, one that could cripple multiple US states overnight. And this isn't just political posturing, it's a strategic weapon. Here's the brutal reality. This isn't just a diplomatic disagreement. This is an economic earthquake waiting to hit. States like New York, Michigan, and Minnesota depend on Canada for nearly 95% of their imported electricity. That's power, keeping homes warm, businesses running, and entire cities functional. If Canada follows through with this threat, the consequences will be immediate and devastating. Imagine an overworked power grid suddenly losing a massive chunk of its supply. Rolling blackouts, skyrocketing electricity bills, emergency services stretched to their limits, and in peak winter or summer months, the grid could collapse entirely. Analysts predict that an electricity cutoff could send US energy costs soaring by 40 to 60% in affected states. And that's just the beginning. Once businesses and industries start absorbing these costs, those price hikes will trickle down to gas stations, grocery stores, and even rent prices. Leaked intelligence files. A top-secret US government report, never meant for public eyes, has just been exposed, revealing a devastating economic war strategy unfolding in real time. This is not just an energy crisis. This is a calculated economic warfare operation, and it is happening right now. This is a calculated move, a response to US tariffs, using energy as leverage in a rapidly escalating trade war. And if you think electricity is the only thing at stake, think again. Because what happens next could send oil prices through the roof. And once oil becomes a bargaining chip, things start spiraling out of control. So how bad could it get? Let's break it down. Breaking emergency. The global energy war is spiraling out of control. If Canada shuts off its biggest weapon, crude oil, America could face an economic disaster on a scale never seen before. Right now, the US imports about 6.1 million barrels of oil per day, and guess where 67% of that comes from? Canada. Pipelines like Keystone XL and Enbridge are the lifelines of America's fuel supply. But what happens if Canada tightens the tap? The shockwaves would be instant and catastrophic. Oil markets are ultra-sensitive, and even the smallest disruption can send industries crashing, inflation soaring, and global economies spiraling into chaos. But if Canada actually cuts exports, we could be looking at an energy crisis of historic proportions. And it's not just fuel. Everything, shipping, airlines, manufacturing, depends on a stable oil supply. If that stability crumbles, everyday costs skyrocket. Food prices climb. Transportation grinds to a halt. Inflation spirals out of control. Breaking. A full-scale economic war between the US and Canada has reached a critical point. Tariffs are surging, trade routes are collapsing, and industries on both sides of the border are bracing for economic devastation. But what happens next could push this crisis into uncharted territory. The US has unleashed a wave of aggressive tariffs on key imports, steel, aluminum, and auto parts, strangling Canadian industries. But Canada is not standing down. In response, it has launched a counterstrike, weaponizing its most powerful bargaining chip, energy exports. This is not just a trade dispute. This is full-scale economic warfare, where every tariff, every restriction, and every counterstrike is sending shockwaves through supply chains. Factories are shutting down, prices are climbing, layoffs are accelerating. And as the pressure builds, the risk of total economic fallout grows by the day. But the worst is yet to come. With Canada tightening its grip on energy exports, the stakes have never been higher. American businesses that rely on steady oil and gas supplies are now bracing for impact. If this trade war spirals further, the fallout will not be limited to corporations. It will hit the wallets of every single consumer. But trade wars do not just disrupt economies. They create lasting financial destruction. And if you think this is only about energy, just wait. Because what happens next could permanently alter the future of North America. The situation is spiraling fast. What started as a trade war is now turning into a full-blown economic emergency, and the ripple effects are about to hit every sector. But this is just the beginning of a crisis that could reshape North America forever. Manufacturing is collapsing. With skyrocketing tariffs and supply chain breakdowns, major industries are being forced to halt production. Layoffs are surging, and businesses are scrambling to survive. But as bad as this looks, it is about to get even worse. Everyday Americans are now feeling the brunt of this crisis. Grocery prices are soaring, gas is becoming unaffordable, and inflation is tightening its grip on every household budget. And with no end in sight, this economic squeeze is pushing the country to the brink. And small businesses, the backbone of the economy, are collapsing under the weight of this crisis. The cost of goods, rent, and wages is unsustainable, forcing thousands to shut their doors permanently. And as businesses fall, unemployment spikes, creating a domino effect of economic destruction. But if you think we have seen the worst of it, think again. Because the next phase of this economic collapse could push North America into a situation no one is prepared for. What happens next could redefine global power as we know it. The economic shockwaves are no longer confined to North America. As industries shut down and costs spiral out of control, the global economy is now feeling the strain. International supply chains are fracturing, and the ripple effects are spreading fast. But this is only the beginning of a worldwide economic realignment. Global manufacturers, reliant on North American trade, are being forced to scale back. With key components and raw materials delayed or unavailable, production lines from China to Germany are grinding to a halt. And the result? Price hikes on everything from electronics to vehicles, and a new wave of economic uncertainty. This isn't just about industrial output. Rising costs for food and energy are fueling social unrest worldwide. From Europe to Asia, protests are erupting as families struggle to keep up with soaring prices. Inflation, unemployment, and political instability are now the global norm. Governments around the world are scrambling to respond. Emergency summits, stimulus measures, and interest rate adjustments are being implemented at breakneck speed. But as national debt skyrockets and growth forecasts plummet, many wonder, is it already too late to avoid a global recession? But if you think this is the full extent of the crisis, think again. Because what comes next will reshape not just economies, but alliances, power structures, and the very fabric of globalization itself. The economic crisis is not just rewriting trade agreements and market strategies. it is also reshaping the global political landscape. Governments are being forced to reconsider long-standing alliances, and new power dynamics are emerging. What started as a regional dispute is now pushing us toward an unpredictable political future. Countries that relied on stable North American trade routes are now pivoting toward alternative partnerships. Nations like China, Russia, and India are stepping in, offering new trade agreements and energy deals. And as these alliances form, the world's geopolitical balance is shifting in ways no one could have predicted. This political realignment is not without its challenges. As old alliances fracture, trust erodes, and tensions rise, governments are under pressure to secure their economies at any cost. This urgency is leading to swift changes in leadership, an increase in military posturing, and a growing reliance on untested diplomatic strategies. Around the world, citizens are demanding answers. Protests are erupting as people grapple with rising prices, job losses, and government policies that seem out of step with their daily struggles. In some regions, this unrest is pushing leaders toward more authoritarian measures, while others are embracing populist movements promising change. But the biggest question remains: will this crisis lead to a more balanced world order, or are we on the verge of a new era of instability? Stay tuned as we uncover the potential futures of global politics in the wake of economic disruption. As the dust begins to settle, the question remains: what comes next? The global economic shock has altered the landscape in ways we have never seen before. From trade policies to technological innovation, the world is now on the cusp of a new phase of globalization. But how will these changes shape our future? One thing is certain: the global economy will not return to business as usual. We are seeing the rise of renewable energy markets, AI-driven production chains, and a growing emphasis on regional self-sufficiency. Nations are rethinking their dependencies, and companies are prioritizing resilience over short-term gains. This shift is also driving innovation. Clean energy technologies are accelerating. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing logistics and supply chains, and new industries are emerging from the disruptions. What seemed like a crisis at first glance may ultimately fuel a new wave of economic opportunity. But with this transformation comes uncertainty. Will these changes lead to a more equitable global economy? Or will the divide between developed and developing nations deepen? And as nations focus inward, will globalization continue in a new form? Or will we see a return to protectionism? The 𝐸𝐴 world is at a turning point. What happens next will determine the shape of our global economy for decades to come. Stay tuned as we explore the potential futures of globalization and the opportunities that lie ahead. After months of economic turmoil, the world is beginning to rebuild. But the path forward is far from straightforward. Governments, businesses, and individuals must make crucial decisions to ensure stability and growth. This is the rebuilding phase, and what happens now will define the next generation. One of the first priorities is revitalizing critical infrastructure. Roads, bridges, and factories that were neglected during the crisis must be repaired and modernized. These projects are not just about jobs. They're about restoring confidence in the future and laying the groundwork for long-term prosperity. Governments are also stepping in with large-scale stimulus programs, aiming to jumpstart growth. But the focus isn't just on traditional industries. Investments in clean energy, digital infrastructure, and advanced manufacturing are reshaping the economic landscape. Businesses are adapting to a new reality. Companies that embrace digital transformation and sustainable practices are emerging as leaders in the post-crisis world. But challenges remain. Debt levels are at all-time highs, inflation is still a threat, and global trade relationships are being redefined. How will these rebuilding efforts shape the future? And what strategies will ensure a stable and prosperous global economy? Stay tuned as we dive into the key decisions shaping our world's recovery. The rebuilding process is well underway, but the next step is ensuring that the global economy can withstand future shocks. To do this, governments and industries are investing in long-term resilience strategies. The question is, can we create a more sustainable, equitable, and adaptable global economy? One key pillar is transitioning to renewable energy. By reducing dependency on finite resources, countries can not only protect their economies from energy price volatility, but also combat climate change. This shift to green energy is creating new industries, jobs, and opportunities for growth. Digital transformation is another cornerstone. Advanced technologies like AI, blockchain, and quantum computing are being integrated into supply chains, financial systems, and governance frameworks. These tools improve efficiency, reduce waste, and enable economies to adapt more quickly to global changes. Beyond technology, a focus on equity and inclusion is critical. Creating pathways for underrepresented communities to access education, capital, and markets ensures that economic growth benefits everyone. In a resilient economy, no one is left behind. What will it take to build a truly resilient global economy? And how can these strategies transform our world in the decades to come? Stay tuned as we explore the innovations, policies, and partnerships shaping our future. The world has changed. After years of economic turmoil and rebuilding, the global landscape is now marked by resilience, innovation, and a deeper interconnectedness. Welcome to the new normal, where survival is no longer enough and thriving requires a completely different mindset. Businesses are leaner, smarter, and more adaptive. Remote work, digital nomadism, and decentralized organizations are no longer trends. They are the foundation of how the global economy operates. Companies that once depended on traditional supply chains have embraced local sourcing and just-in-time manufacturing, drastically reducing risk and waste. The energy revolution has brought clean, sustainable power to every corner of the globe. Education and healthcare are no longer bound by geography, as technology connects people in even the most remote regions. The new normal is defined by accessibility and equity, ensuring that everyone has a chance to thrive. Economic stability has been restored, but the world remains vigilant. Continuous innovation and proactive policies are the keys to preventing another crisis. This new global paradigm is not about reaching a final destination. It is about constant evolution and improvement. How will we continue to shape this new normal? What lessons can we take forward to ensure a more sustainable, balanced, and prosperous future for all? Stay tuned as we uncover the next chapter in our global story. The world has changed. After years of economic turmoil and rebuilding, the global landscape is now marked by resilience, innovation, and a deeper interconnectedness. Welcome to the new normal, where survival is no longer enough and thriving requires a completely different mindset. Businesses are leaner, smarter, and more adaptive. Remote work, digital nomadism, and decentralized organizations are no longer trends. They are the foundation of how the global economy operates. Companies that once depended on traditional supply chains have embraced local sourcing and just-in-time manufacturing, drastically reducing risk and waste. The energy revolution has brought clean, sustainable power to every corner of the globe. Education and healthcare are no longer bound by geography, as technology connects people in even the most remote regions. The new normal is defined by accessibility and equity, ensuring that everyone has a chance to thrive. Economic stability has been restored, but the world remains vigilant. Continuous innovation and proactive policies are the keys to preventing another crisis. This new global paradigm is not about reaching a final destination. It is about constant evolution and improvement. How will we continue to shape this new normal? What lessons can we take forward to ensure a more sustainable, balanced, and prosperous future for all? Stay tuned as we uncover the next chapter in our global story. The world stands at a crossroads. After navigating through one of the most challenging periods in history, we now have the opportunity to forge a brighter, more sustainable future. The question is, how will we rise to the occasion? From renewable energy to groundbreaking medical breakthroughs, humanity's capacity for innovation and resilience is shining through. The lessons learned from our past struggles have paved the way for a new era of progress, one that prioritizes balance, inclusivity, and forward-thinking solutions. Collaboration is at the heart of this new chapter. Governments, businesses, and communities are coming together like never before. By pooling resources, sharing knowledge, and working toward common goals, we are not just rebuilding, we are redefining what it means to thrive in the modern world. As we look ahead, the road is clear. Continuous innovation, a commitment to sustainability, and a steadfast focus on the well-being of all. This is our chance to leave a legacy of hope and prosperity for future generations. The story does not end here. The journey of progress and discovery continues. Together, we have proven that even in the darkest times, we can find a way forward. So, let us move ahead boldly, embracing the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. The future is ours to shape.